I feel like you're leading me in a trap here because
Bring in the trap.
I,
I have a box I have to check. Are you a Riesling guy or a Chardonnay guy?
I'm actually more of a Riesling guy, truth be
Okay.
told.
Thank you. Is that so hard?
Although I know I'm making it difficult.
Quarantine Catch-Ups on CorkScrewed TV's YouTube channel.
Hey, hello. How's it going, my friend?
Doing great, Patrick. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm right in the middle of your jurisdiction in the Greenbelt. And
Right on.
that's why the internet's not the best, but fortunately we do have lots of other cool things to celebrate in the Greenbelt. And as unfortunately for people that watched our episode last night, a lot of people know more about the Greenbelt.
Yeah.
Thankfully to all your facts and figures that were on the show. And Gail she's a professor from McMaster University, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And how did you meet Gail?
Well, we work with a whole variety of people, as you might imagine, over the past 15 years of the Greenbelt Foundation. And Gail is one of these amazing people, as you've come to learn, who we've met along the way, because her work is, overlaps with our interest in a variety of areas. She was obviously really articulate and passionate about the Greenbelt and really able to, I think, provide a great summary of it. I think you guys had some pretty interesting learnings just about the scope of it all.
Scope. We assumed that we could hike the entirety of the Greenbelt, but apparently, according to Gail and according to your Snickers, that's not possible.
It's pretty ambitious, I'd say, even for a high energy guy like you, Patrick. I think it'd be ambitious.
Do you say high energy or high hungry?
I said energy, but I'll let you self-identify.
Oh, we had a blast. It was so nice shooting out in nature, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
We're always in the vineyards, but it leads us to sometimes we're in laboratories and whatnot. So to be out on the Bruce Trail on the escarpment was really cool, and meeting Gail for the first time. And I think her expertise were clean water.
Yes, and her explanation just about how important the Greenbelt as a whole and important features like the Niagara Escarpment and the Oak Ridges Moraine to our regional water supply, and just both I think the technical elements of it, but just the beauty of it, and thinking about sort of where this water, there's 21 urban river valleys that run through the Greenbelt that are part of the Greenbelt that are flowing into Lake Ontario. It's so critical to water supply, both in terms of where water goes, the quality of water when it hits the lake. Increasingly, we're concerned about obviously flooding too much water in places we don't want it. So this whole discussion of water and the Greenbelt's role in it she did a great job. Again, both in terms of the technical part, but also just the beautiful ecological aspects of it.
And it kind of blew our minds, because when we think of maybe traditionally water purification, air purification, we think of, weirdly enough, like a factory, pipes going in, but that's what the escarpment and these wetlands and marshes do naturally. They're cleaning the air, they're cleaning the water that goes right out into the lake and then right back to us, right into the stomach a lot of the time.
Yes, exactly. And also agricultural land. We sometimes forget just how important environmentally agricultural land is. A lot of water that would otherwise come, into places we don't want it is being absorbed into those agricultural lands, as is with, natural features like the escarpment, which serve as, to your point, just about natural recharge for the groundwater. A lot of communities, many thousands of people in Ontario rely on groundwater. So they're not all building pipes to the lake and putting it through water treatment plants. They're often putting pipes into the ground, both for agricultural purposes and also for homes and other things that rely on water where municipally treated water may not be centrally available. So where water goes, how it gets retained, this is really obviously very important. Everyone knows that. Like, I think if you're in Ontario, water is a big idea and a big importance. But thinking about just what we do to make sure it's there, clean, and increasingly not where we don't want it, like our basement. Those are all aspects of what, frankly, the Greenbelt and other natural environments can do for us.
And relating that back to wine, which a lot of the vineyards most of them, I'd say, fall within the Greenbelt.
Yes.
And the water is so important for irrigation and watering those beautiful plants that have to, well, it's mostly water and sugar that goes into the
Yeah.
development.
And sunlight.
And sunlight, yeah, that's half the equation. So important, the water, and of course the air that we breathe. And
Yeah.
in times like this, I think mentally being around trees and going back to those, thousands of years ago when we were in nature more, and we have to kind of reset our minds. It's nice to get out. And we were kind of talking about this before, but a lot of the wineries are saying, come visit us and
Yeah.
pick up your wine during isolation, because you get a chance to get out into nature. And I know I've seen a few posts from the Greenbelt as well, just sharing beautiful pictures and images of nature to help people get through.
Yes, exactly. And I think there's a growing body of evidence of just how important access to nature, time in nature is to our individual health, mental and physical. And then as, population health, we have a growing, often urbanizing sort of Southern Ontario. But that doesn't, take away our very human basic need for connections to nature. So I think in this current situation, dealing with COVID and then pandemic globally, we're going to learn in the coming weeks what we should be doing and can be doing in terms of accessing nature. But we're also thinking long term, and that's some of these amazing spaces, whether they're formally conservation areas or, as you said, going out into vineyards and being on the land. You've been through there. You guys have done an amazing job of highlighting a whole variety of wineries in Niagara, and I'm sure for you, just something very visceral and very real about sort of being in those spaces. It's really just invigorating.
Oh, the fact is there's so much, and what the show tries to take away is that there's so much emphasis and prestige and energy pent up behind the word wine. People think of dress shirts and whatnot, but it's a farming and it's an agricultural endeavor when it comes down to it. So being in the field, it just reminds us of it, and they describe this terroir, like the sense of place. And it reminds us that, the beautiful bottle and the label are all important factors in marketing and whatnot, but it comes from this land.
Yes.
And even like you mentioned, the Niagara Escarpment and the unique biosphere that has developed over millions of years here for us to be able to grow these grapes and make these wines. And it's so amazing that we have a team like your amazing team protecting that and really lobbying for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of what we see is at the Greenbelt Foundation. So our role fundamentally is to, protect and enhance the opportunity of the Greenbelt, whether that's in terms of water supply or supporting agriculture, supporting tourism activities. Like, you go to the winery and then hopefully go and do other things while you're in beautiful Niagara. So, and that is never going to be more important than it is now. There's, so many people being challenged by, COVID and the pandemic, but, we will get through this, and people, want to know that we're going to take care of this amazing asset called the Greenbelt. And when you think about what the Greenbelt, I sometimes think of it as a canvas. Like if we protect the canvas, the artists, whether that's the farmer or the winemaker or other people who are doing these incredible things, but they need a canvas to work with. So, and I think in a lot of the episodes you've done, you really draw out the sort of passion and the human ingenuity and the crafts, the craftsmanship of what people are doing. And it's timeless in a lot of ways, and it's just this amazing thing we have here in Ontario, that we have the canvas of the Greenbelt to work with. It's a huge benefit for Ontario.
Wow, that's very beautifully put. It's a canvas, and you mentioned passion, and that's, I think, the main key word talking to the winemakers and the scientists and the grape growers. It's like you need the passion. It's not something that you decide one day to try out. It's got to be there. And without the protected Greenbelt, it would not be possible. You can't put a vineyard in a parking lot or, on top of a retail space, which I hope it never comes to that ever. But
No, because it's so much of the human aspect of it comes from the environment you're in. I suppose it's technically possible to make wine, you know, in a factory. I'm not sure either of us would want to drink it.
no way. Is there plans? How could we help? How could we follow all the information about the Greenbelt, and how could we support it and help it to grow and continue its sustainability?
Right. Well, thank you. I mean, I think, you know, we obviously, you know, through our website, people can connect with us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So via greenbelt.ca, there's information, and we're, you know, our work is continuing. It's obviously, we're thinking very, you know, seriously about what we can do to support local communities across the region, to support our partners in food and agriculture, and to, you know, once the tourism opens up again, how we support those folks. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole variety of channels for people to pursue. Part of what I think, and you know this better than most, like just thinking local, and I think people are. And so what can we do to sort of connect them with local providers? We have a variety of tourism products we use, Brewers Discovery Route, cycling route, and other things that help try to connect people to, you know, local operators and also routes they can take. But more and more, we're seeing a lot of creativity among the parts of the winemakers putting their offerings online. I think we're going to see more of that. To the extent people can, you know, going to the grocery store when they do that these days, is looking for local, because we really do need to support local food providers at this time. It's not an easy go for them. So I think, you know, where people are able, we really want to sort of encourage that. I know I'm doing my part for the Ontario wine industry in the last little while.
What's your favorite wine?
I am not going there.
No, just varietal wise. What's your favorite varietal of wine?
Well, obviously we make these amazing Rieslings and whites in Ontario, along with, you know, some. I feel like you're leading me in a trap here, because
bring in the trap.
Are you a Leaf supporter, or are you, you know, like a Canadian supporter or a Senators supporter? Like, I feel like you're leading me down that path.
I have a box I have to check. Are you a Riesling guy or a Chardonnay guy?
I'm actually more of a Riesling guy, truth be told.
Thank you. Was that so hard?
Although I know I'm making it difficult. I do love a good a Chardonnay, though.
Beautiful.
I won't make any jokes about being wine promiscuous.
Hey, sometimes we have to.
Indeed.
Another. So you mentioned the Bruce Trail. Is that goes from Niagara Falls to Tobermory?
Yeah.
And there, is that the Discovery Trail? Is that what it's called?
No, I was actually referring to the Brewers Discovery Route, which is a
Brewers.
There's a group of segmented tours you can do of brewers in Southern Ontario, many of which are sort of spanning the Greenbelt. So it's those kinds of things. It's just
cool. And the wine route too, obviously.
Pardon me?
The wine route as well. Like
exactly.
St. Catharines and Beamsville.
Yes, exactly. I mean, of course, if you ask me my favorite place, it would be St. Catharines.
Because that's where you're from.
Well, I thought that's where you guys were.
That's where we operate. That's where our office is.
Okay. Geez, I was trying to get brownie points and it just didn't land.
Hey, you got the beautiful shirt. You're doing an amazing job in protecting one of my favorite things in the world, our Greenbelt. I grew up in Stony Creek, so I grew up with the escarpments, walking to my high school at Bishop Ryan. And then I went to Brock University, and I was still right on the brink of the escarpment. So it's always been a part of growing up, and just so important. I feel like it's crafted me, it's polished me into the person I am, for good or for bad. So,
well, I mean, as you know, what's amazing about the Greenbelt, it runs all the way from your area in Niagara across the Durham, the Oshawa area, let's call it, up into Northumberland, the south end of Lake Simcoe, up Bruce Peninsula. And that area was chosen very specifically because it's some of the best farmland, not the only great farmland we have in Ontario.
Different kind of vegetables, right?
with the huge, yeah, so Holland, there's two specialty crop areas. There's the tender fruit and grape growing area where you folks are in Niagara. And, the growing conditions where you are, they have longer growing periods, what they call more heat units in those areas, which make it possible to grow things there that just can't be grown in most parts of the country. And then there's the Holland Marsh. And the Holland Marsh, I think there's some stat I know there's a stat in your show just about how many carrots come out of Holland Marsh each year. I think it was it 6 for every Canadian or
yeah, I thought it was 6 or 7. I just literally watched that segment.
Yeah, so it's, the percentage of vegetables and fruit that are grown in the Greenbelt relative to the entire province is really significant. And that's what makes that also really beneficial is because it's so close to urban centers. It means that for those food producers, the market is right there on their doorstep.
They're
and
not
for those of us,
trucking it across the country. It's right.
Or across the world. And I think now we're really thinking very seriously about where does our food come from and how dependent are we on other countries. And the fact that we have such a huge or immense ability to grow here in Ontario. Now, we obviously don't grow all year round like many places, although we do through greenhouses, which are increasingly part of our food supply and can play a very important part. But the whole, the amount of fruit and vegetables grown in the Greenbelt is remarkable. And we see at the Greenbelt Foundation, we're working on some, with our partners in the producer organizations, how could we grow the fruit and vegetable sector in Ontario? So we're going to have some research out on that soon. And that's just part of how do we make the most of this asset? How do we really, there's unmet need, I think, in many sort of areas for local food. I was told that we run out of local apples, through the course of the season, and we could really benefit from more planting, additional orchards, to meet demand for our amazing Ontario local food. So
I'm going to guess that it's because of apple pie production.
A lot of that going on now, that's for sure.
You can eat one apple and then it fills you up, but I know I could eat at least 3 apple pies, so there's probably several apples to eat. So. Well, that's amazing, Ed, and I hope everybody enjoys our episode because we put a lot of work into integrating all that knowledge into one half of an episode. So I hope that people enjoy the facts and figures, and you can always learn more, of course, at greenbelt.ca and watch their social media channels because it's just a nice little look into nature when you're scrolling through and when you're stuck at home. I know I love seeing it. And thank you and your team for all of your work. And we have to keep the Greenbelt strong and grow it bigger. And especially now, like you said, with our dependency on local and our focus on local. So stay tuned for Food and Agriculture Week is coming up. Yeah. So stay tuned for that on all social media channels. And eat local, everybody. Eat and drink local. Let's support. We have it all right here in Ontario.
Good man. It was great to see you, Patrick.
Thank you so much. Say hi to everybody.
Will do. And, I look forward to walking through some vineyards with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Better be a Riesling vineyard or else we're going to get in trouble. All right. See you, Ed.
All right. Take care of yourself.